Best anime this season is not even Japanese. We've got Fire Force, Windbreaker, Lazarus, and the beginning after the end. The real surprise is that all of those shows are taking a backseat to a Chinese anime named To Be Your Ex. How is Chinese anime beating Japan at their own game? And what makes TBHX the best? Before that, Chinese anime, or Dangwa, is that how they're pronounced?
No.
Anyway, it has been leveling up for a while now. Shows like The King's Avatar, Link Click, and Scissor Seven already proved that China can make quality anime, but none of them really felt like the anime of the season. This time, though, it feels like they finally cracked the code. So, what even is To Be Your Ex? And why do I think it's the best anime this season? Well, imagine a world where heroes are formed by people's trust. The more trust you have, the more powerful you are, and the higher your ranking. So it's basically glaze equals power. The more glazed you are, the more powerful you are. That being said, the story is centered around Lin, a normal person who works in advertising. But he gets fired within the first 5 minutes because he thinks that anyone can be a hero. What a dumbass. But that kind of leads him to meet this guy. Nice. A top 10-ish hero, Mr. Perfect. But he kind of falls off the edge of a building, unaliving himself in the process. I mean, don't get it twisted. Bro can fly, but he just chose to fall. And to stop a PR disaster, Lin, who conveniently looks like nice, is kidnapped, given a makeover, and is trained to look and act like nice. A few public events later, and he inherits Nice's trust value, I guess. They never really explained that, giving him his powers and physically changing him and his traits and physical traits. That's really where the story begins, you know? He still has to fight the villain of the week. And as things go on, he struggles with his own perception of himself and what it means to be a hero. QB Hero X has that classic superhero feel towards it, with the heroes fighting evil and standing up for justice. But it doesn't shy away from the darker aspects. In every passing episode, feels like they're developing the world, the characters, as we slowly get a bigger picture of things and what's really going on. For example, a top 10 hero in Firm Man, who saved a young girl from a burning building by holding up a collapsed wall, these bare hands, standing strong until help arrived. And from then on, people have believed in him to be this strong hero, stands up against any challenge, stands up for justice. How they made that connection is above me. But what happens if the belief that people have in you becomes the very burden preventing you from bending down or kneeling to the ground? What if it forces you to go to sleep standing or prevents you from living a normal life? Or your ADHD builds up because you're this perfectionist. And what happens when a hero is stripped of that trust while fighting a villain. Anyway, that being said, I've barely scratched the surface of the world building, which I think was done really well. They also do a good job of introducing real problems, and it doesn't feel overly serious or depressing. The story is still shaping up, and we are getting hit with some crazy cliffhangers. That being said, the animation style is really unique, and it does take a little getting used to, but it's good nonetheless. Not to mention the fact that they keep alternating between the old, usual anime style with this new one, depending on the scene and the fight. And that just really gives it a greater impact overall. All that combined creates this wow factor. Every episode adds to the overall story and the world building. And when you couple interesting storytelling with good fights and characters, I think you have a recipe for success. Plus, it just has this indescribable feeling. It's just good, guys. It's just good. Okay? It's just, yeah. Starts off a little slow, but a good watch still. So, where does that leave every other anime this season? Well, sequels like Fire Force and Windbreaker are still warming up, and they will only ramp up as the season progresses. But we also can't rule out a Dark Horse show, you know, they can just show up and ruin everything. But as of right now, at the time of recording, nothing else has stood out as being clearly better than To Be Your Ex. As for One Piece, let's not talk about One Piece, because it just wouldn't be fair to put it in lists like these. So, One Piece is not a seasonal anime as far as I'm concerned. It's just a good show doing its own thing. But that does leave the question, is To Be Your Ex genuinely the best show this season because it deserves to be? Or is it just standing out because nothing else has stepped up yet? Either way, it's the first time in a while a Chinese anime is leading the conversation. And honestly, I'm here for it. Let me know what you guys think down below. That being said, I'm only starting out my journey on YouTube, trying to become the king of AnyTube. So subscribe to follow my journey as we're on the road to you just put 1 million subscribers. Yeah, we're on the road to 1 million subscribers, boys. But yeah, the content will only get better. And we have a new mic arriving soon, so stay tuned for that as well. I'll also try my best to pump up more and more videos for you guys. And just try getting better every video. Thank you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.